College basketball is back in Muncie for a showdown between the Franklin College Grizzlies and the Ball State Cardinals. For the Grizzlies, this evening's matchup is their only chance this season to take down a Division I opponent, while the Cardinals are looking to even out their record after a loss on Monday. Welcome into the studio on the campus of Ball State University. I'm JJ Grexton alongside Jordan Climbs, soon to be joined by Max Gilley. But first, we have a very special panelist this evening, former Ball State player, Mr. Wayne Johnson. Wayne, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure's all mine.
And like I said, you did play at Ball State. Could you just talk a little bit about your time here and just your experiences on that team?
Absolutely. So one of my favorite things to share is just two jerseys in the rafters. Ray McCollum, who I was fortunate enough to play for 4 years, and Bonzi Wells, who I was fortunate enough to play with for 3 years. And during that time, Coach was real insistent on us being a part of the community, being engaged in every facet of that process, and just working hard and instilling things in us that we still use to this day. And we had a good time winning, and we played with local talent that was from around the Indy, Anderson, Muncie area.
And there's a little bit of a new roster this year for the Ball State program. What are your thoughts on that, who we can look out for, that kind of thing?
I'm most excited to see Peyton Sparks make the decision to come back. I think everything will eventually revolve around him. But I'm also excited about the guard play that we've added here with some size and some length that'll help with the rebounding that's much needed for our team. So I'm excited about all the players and the guard play and the shooting and the potential that's there.
And a player that's not new to the roster this year is senior Ben Hendricks. He caught up with LJ Shreve on Inside the Chirp earlier this week in the SportsLink studio.
Welcome back into the Betsy M. Ross studio with a very special guest, Ben Hendricks. Ben, how are you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing good. Thanks for coming on. Now, before we start talking all hoops, tell me a highlight of the off season.
Let's see. Getting to meet everybody, all the new players. It's good, and getting to see my family was nice. Being back home, seeing my friends. It's been great to see everybody, new faces. Learning things about them and each other. And just getting ready to come back here.
Yeah, absolutely. During the summer, you talked about how so far it's been hard but worth it, all the work you've done. It was midway through the summer. What words would you use to describe that point up until now?
I say a lot of growth. Not only myself and the team, we've had a lot of growth as a team,
Yep.
In the summer, more summertime, it's a lot of individual work. Now we're in practice things, and it's definitely harder. It's longer hours, sometimes a little bit harder than what you're used to. But no, it's a lot of growth from not only myself, but as a team player, as a team, and as my other teammates as individual players.
This basketball pregame show is brought to you by TableX. TableX proudly supports the students of Ball State SportsLink.
Looking at the preseason poll for the Mid-American Conference, Ball State's coming in 7th, right in the middle of the pack. Jordan, why is that? What do you think they can improve to maybe get those rankings a little bit higher as the season moves forward?
Yeah, for Ball State, it's an interesting season because, as we just talked about, a lot of new players are on this roster, whether they had been here before, whether they're first-time players for Michael Lewis or a couple that are still here. But looking back to last year, Ball State finished 9th in the conference, and so this 7th spot for Ball State is a jump. Ball State, unfortunately, last year was not able to make the MAC tournament for the first time since they rescheduled or reformatted, I should say, so that only 8 teams make it. And so for Ball State, this is a big bounce-back year. You could see them be above that 7th spot they're at right now, but to start the season, I think it's a good place for them to be.
And what do you think? This is an exhibition game for the Grizzlies. Obviously, they're a Division III opponent for the Ball State Cardinals. Wayne, what do you think we can kind of expect to see from the Grizzlies as they take on a higher-ranked opponent?
I expect them to be patient. So they'll have a size differentiation that won't allow them to rebound and things that well. So they'll have to run their sets really clean to get the shots and looks that they're trying to get. And they want to have to try to control the pace as best that they can. Ball State will for sure speed them up and try to get them out of their stuff, because most Division III teams are going to run great plays to get the shots that they're looking for.
Yeah, and looking at the HCAC preseason polls for the Franklin College Grizzlies, they're coming in 6th. Again, pretty middle of the pack. Jordan, what do you think, again, just how can they improve that ranking as they go forward? Is that accurate? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a very accurate spot for Franklin to be to start off the season. That, of course, does not mean that they cannot climb higher in those rankings as we go along, but they finished the season last year right around the same spot. They were actually 5th in the conference, and now, as we just said, currently at 6th in this preseason poll. And so for Franklin, a lot of the same guys just try to really gel together in most of their second years together and try to get things going a little bit more for them. But also, I got to ask you, Wayne, too, because you coached at, well, in the same conference, you coached for Anderson as an assistant coach years ago, but you know a little bit about, Division III schools and this conference. So what is your analysis on Franklin and this conference overall?
Franklin systematically gets great players. A lot of Division III players are kind of right on the cusp. Usually it's the size or speed differentiation that gets them to a Division III, but they'll run great plays, they'll have great shooters, and they'll be consistent in their approach and try to manage the game as best they can. So that's what you'll get. That conference has some really outstanding talent in it. Again, they're just right on the cusp of making that Division II or I roster.
Now, somebody that knows this team better than anybody is their head coach, Chris Hamilton. Max Gilly joins him now.
Thanks, JJ. Here with Franklin coach Chris. And Coach, what do you get by playing a Division I opponent like Ball State?
Well, you get a great opportunity to be able to play against, obviously, excellent competition. A venue that our guys don't get to see all the time. It's certainly something that our guys circle on their calendar as an opportunity, right, to be able to play against guys that, certainly might have a different level next to their name, but it's a good chance to be able to compete and see where we can put our skill set in comparison to theirs. So, grateful for the opportunity.
Now, start of the season, what are some of the things you're expecting from this Franklin team?
We're expecting to play incredibly hard defensively. It's going to be all about giving multiple efforts every single possession. The ball doesn't care who scores it, right? It's filled with air. So offensively, we're going to try to move that thing and find the hands that are supposed to shoot at that possession, and just kind of make it about a buffet on offense, and then a tenacious style on defense. So we'll see how we compare today, but we're looking for the chance.
Thanks, Coach.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Max. Franklin last year was not exactly anything super special from their statistics. This is going to be the 3rd year that Chris Hamilton is their coach. What do you think that they can improve on this season to maybe get those stats a little bit higher? Maybe just improve on those just a little bit.
Well, yeah, looking at some of those stats you were talking about, they're pretty middle of the pack in most of the categories. You look at points per game, they were 5th, field goal percentage, they were 3rd, rebounds, they were 8th, so kind of all over the board for Franklin last year. And so when it comes to trying to improve statistically from last year, I think for Franklin, just trying to get those rebounds up is a huge thing, and everything else will kind of come once that happens. But for Franklin, I think it's just a matter of trying to, as you said, it's a 3rd-year head coach now, so really his system is fully in form and try to establish things that way for Franklin going into this year.
And then looking at the Ball State stats from last year, they were a little bit maybe below expectations for what was expected of that team. What do you think, Wayne, that they can do this season to maybe get those statistics up, make those expectations a little bit higher and meet them?
Absolutely. I think for them it'll be rebounding and shot selection. So not look for good shots, but great shots, right? So finding the next open man and getting easier buckets. And again, I'm always leaning on the big fella, Peyton Spark. So having him should open up the perimeter with some of those great guards and shooting that they have to get those shots off a lot cleaner.
Okay, and do you have, either one of you, have any thoughts on maybe some improvement that the teams can have maybe in tonight's matchup against each other from last year, from Ball State's game maybe this week, that they can just kind of improve on and work out tonight?
For me, watching Ball State last year, they were inconsistent as it relates to just being physical and kind of having a presence on the court. Some games they showed up, and some they just didn't. And the rebounds always told the tale, getting extra shots. So the games that they lost, it seemed that they just couldn't get extra shots, couldn't get the rebound to do so. So this year, I think they've fixed that. They have better shooting, better perimeter defense. So I think they'll improve on everything with the roster that they have. It's a diverse, experienced roster.
And looking at the roster from Franklin, a player to watch out for is Lynn King. Jordan, can you talk a little bit about him, what he's going to do for the team tonight and this season going forward?
Yeah, Lynn's been around for a while for this team, and so it's really nice to have that veteran presence back. As you know, you played with some veterans. You were a veteran yourself,
yes.
And it's really important to have those guys lead the team, and Lynn is going to do that for his team this year. He led Franklin in scoring last year with around 12 points per game, and so it's a good mark to be at. He's a really solid player, but I want to hear your take on him too, because you've gone back and looked at some of the stuff he did at his level. What's your thoughts on Lynn?
Well, first thing I noticed, he's from South Bend. So shout out to Cedric Moody, who's from South Bend as well, a guy that I was fortunate enough to play with. Big physical guard. They don't back down from a challenge, and as Lynn goes, Franklin will go.
You talk about his size, he's 6'4", so yeah.
Yeah, and he's built like a football player. So I think that if he plays the right way and get those guys going, you hit shots, you can keep it going. We'll see.
And then looking at the Ball State side, the player to look out for them is Fat Hill. I know that you love that name, Wayne. Can you just talk a little bit about him and maybe what he can do for the squad tonight?
So the skinniest fat person I've ever seen. No disrespect to anyone. Fat Hill, what I love about him is he's battle tested. His experience at the junior college level and even making it to the national tournament at that level gives him an amazing background to just perform and produce at this level, as he did at Georgia State with 17 and 6. I think he'll be a great addition to this team as he continues to get comfortable in the offense and lead those guys, because they're still gelling. A lot of things with this NIL and the portal, these guys have to gel every year. And I think once they get through these first couple games, we'll see a great improvement on what happened last year.
Yeah, you talk about the gelling too. As you said, he's a new player coming from a junior college, South Plains, and so really his first opportunity at the Division I level to kind of shine. As you said, he did that at Georgia State.
Absolutely. I think he'll continue to do so.
Max Gilley is on court with Coach Michael Lewis right now. We'll check in with Max.
Thanks, JJ. Coach, coming off a loss to Georgia State, what are some of the things you learned in that one?
Well, we want to play a little bit more poised. We want some better body movement, people movement, and the ball's got to move a lot better and crisper tonight to create some better opportunities than we had the other night. So I liked our overall energy. We just got to play a lot smarter.
Now, Coach, this is the first time that Ball State is back here at Muncie. How excited is the team to finally be back here?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is what they came to school for, right? To play college basketball. So, it's whether it's here or on Monday night, you should be excited. If this is what you want to do and this is what you're trying to pursue, then I think you'd be excited about it.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you.
Now, Wayne, you played against Michael Lewis whenever you were at Ball State. Yes. He was at Indiana. What was it like to play against him on the court?
Wow. Well, we learned really quick that this state was for IU. So we were playing the old Market Square Arena. So he's just a microcosm of Coach Knight. He's fiery, great leader on the court, demands a lot out of his team, and we see that for Ball State and his head coach and how he coaches. Of course, he learned a lot from the general, but he was just a competitor, really fierce competitor. I tried to knock his head off on a couple of those screens and coming through the lane, and he just kept getting back up and fighting, which that's what we want to see out of this team, and that's what I expect him to be and embody what he is.
Well, you told us the other day, too, he was kind of a trash talker out there, which you said was a good thing.
Yeah, he was a motor mouth, which I love that. The banter is it's a part of the game. I think it's a healthy part of the game, as long as it doesn't get disrespectful. And it would never cross a line, but it's just good trash talking. I enjoyed it.
Love to hear it.
Yeah.
Wayne, do you have any final thoughts for both teams going forward into this matchup tonight?
For both teams, the first 3 minutes after the tip will be the most important part of the game. Set the tempo, get into the things you want to get into, and we'll see. Whoever gets into their things that they want to impact and impress on the other team, that's who'll run away with it.
Well, that's going to do it for us tonight for the pregame show of the Ball State men's basketball and the Franklin College Grizzlies. Braden Carroll and Griffin Leonard, alongside with Max Gilley, are going to take it the rest of the way. We will see you guys at halftime.